Got a little pre-show going on here. We are live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live all over the place, man.
Get this in the middle.
5 being live, we're on. So we're about to get started. So might as well start with the theme song.
That's a little rock a little bit. I like how you did that.
Fading it in, getting better.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Pender Sr.
Devin Pender, just here to remind you to like, follow, subscribe, share, and comment. You know, we're here to empower, inspire the community, uplift, all those good things. I tried to do the intro like Chris did. You know, I'm just trying to hold it together.
Yeah, we're down one right now, but I'm assuming he's on his way.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we get tied up, man. But hey, I want to start off by first thanking all the wonderful people who participated in Toy Store. You know, I want to start with my anonymous donors. You know who you are. Can't say your name. You asked me not to say it because everybody be knocking on your door. But without you, we wouldn't be able to. You know, the many toys and coats that we were able to give away. We service 40 families and 125 young people.
That's awesome.
And that's not even counting the families who we allow people to take stuff like I adopted a school, McClure. So they took stuff back to the school. We were able to donate stuff to PAL, to Strawberry Mansion PAL. So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. And we were able to do that many things. And what I really liked about it this year was we were able to give 14 and 15-year-olds $25 cash, and 16 and 17-year-olds, 16 and 17-year-olds $50 cash.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's an awesome thing.
So it was a great time, and we were also able to give away some food baskets. So
that's different. I didn't see that the previous year before that.
Yeah, we have food baskets.
But real quick, for our listeners, explain how this toy drive came about. Where it originated for you, and again, just describe this year how it was for you, like some of the best parts.
Oh man, Toy Store. Toy Store started for me. I was doing some work for an organization in the Northeast called Oxford Circle Christian. It was a nonprofit association, and they used to have this event called Toy Store every year, and they would charge the families $5 per kid. Up to if you have after 4 kids, it was still $20, but the kids got a chance to choose some really nice things. And what I liked about it was, in other toys things that I've been involved in, they always gave the kids prepackaged stuff, and I didn't like that because you don't know what you're giving your kid, and the kids don't know what they're getting. God forbid somebody wraps the girl's package in the boy, So yeah. And I just thought it kind of took some of the dignity away from the parents. So I developed my own called Toy Store. We use the same name, appropriate, and so we do a little differently. We don't charge. So each year varies, but this year we were able to give each family got 3 toys per kid and 1 big toy per family. We had pool tables, miniature pool tables, miniature hockey tables. So it was pretty cool, and we gift wrap, and everybody could walk. Every person, every child, and every family got a coat. So typically teenagers we struggle with. So this year was a new wrinkle. We gave out the earbuds.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, man. So the teenagers got earbuds. And they also got the cash, and the females got perfume and the males got cologne. So yeah, we were able to do a little more for the families this year.
Whose idea was that? That's interesting.
Your mom. Let's go to the female touch.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that was pretty exciting about it was, I got to give a shout out to Malcolm Jenkins, his foundation. This is the second year they contributed food baskets to us. So we are able to give out food baskets to every family, and it's pretty cool because it comes with a turkey, the whole fix it. The whole fix it.
It comes with a turkey?
Even a pan to cook a turkey in. So it was pretty cool. But it's always an amazing event. And we did it with an organization called the Brothers of Strawberry Mansion. We some young ladies came out from the community, and they gift wrapped. And for me, what makes it special is I get to go back to the neighborhood where I grew up at.
That's always awesome.
Yeah, man. So it's pretty
so
cool to go back to North Philly, and it's kind of funny because you see families, of you knew their dads. I mean, you knew their granddads.
I was gonna ask, like, do you run into people like you grew up with?
Yeah. That's probably 80% of the people that come through there. There's some kind of connection. I knew their grandfather. I knew their dad. So there's some kind of, or I knew the family name, or even I knew them because a couple of guys came through. Some guys I knew to get stuff for their families. So it's always pretty cool to go back. So it's a great time. It was a great time. I know you were working. You could.
I was about to say I missed this one. I gotta be at the one next year. But one the year before was awesome. I loved it.
We're in planning stage now, and the good thing I really like about it is the number of volunteers. We get a lot of volunteers.
It was a good turnout.
Oh yeah, we get a lot. We had about about 15 volunteers who came and stayed the day. Mm-hmm. We had one or two who left, and it kind of balanced out because we had a couple who left in the morning and a couple who came in the afternoon. A couple people, not a couple, but we had like 15 people just kind of hang out. So it's cool, to give back, man, and to see looks on families' faces. Like there's one lady who, and we'll get to the topic about gender wars. Mm-hmm. There was one lady who she called me outside, and she said, "Can I see you for a second? I'm kind of busy. Can I see you for a second?" So I go out. She says, I only have $20 left, but I got to give you something. And I said, why? She said, look, you gave me this whole trash bag full of stuff, plus the car with money in it. She said, I cannot leave here without giving you something. So that's pretty cool because most people take their stuff and they go.
Yeah, just go right on about their business.
Then you have people who cry because they haven't had Christmas in years. So it's pretty cool, man. I make a difference in people's lives. And as I said, we start, as a matter of fact, I'm exhausted from this one. You can hear it in my voice. So usually when I come back in the new year, we start planning the next one. So Toy Story 2023, I'll start planning in January. Make sure we secure the place. We have it at, try to get people from our board to be on the committee. So it's less I have to do. I make sure I send another thank you out to some anonymous donors to make sure I got them lined up for 2023 and try to create new donors. Each year I try to add new donors to do different things. Like my goal this year, so if you're watching, I would love to get Walmart involved or Target involved.
That is a goal.
Yeah, I would love to get Walmart and Target.
Definitely achieve that.
And get them involved. But it's amazing because I go back to North Philly, the Discovery Center, and they bless us. They give us the place for free. So I have to pay for that. The young ladies from Strawberry Mansion who come out from the neighborhood, they gift wrap for free, and they supply the wrapping paper. That's awesome. So it's a lot of people. Yeah, it's a ton of people, man, giving back, and we all grew up. So it's pretty cool to go back to your neighborhood, especially when people always think of that neighborhood as something negative. It's nice to go back.
Now, before we wrap up and get on to the main topic. Just one more thing. Is this something you kind of see yourself spreading all over Philadelphia, going to different neighborhoods, like going into West, going south?
Well, it's funny. I've always, every year I get asked the same question, and every year I say no, only because of the amount of work it takes to do it. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of work, man. Like I gotta go pick up. Like this year, I just go by this year. This year, I had to rent a U-Haul van by myself. Had to go to my donor, load up all the toys and stuff, come back, unload it, store it in the garage, which means I had to park in the street, then take the van back. So, even getting the stuff, it's just a lot of work. Man. So, however, this next year, I'm probably going to have another, you're thinking about adding a location out here in Montgomery County, a smaller location. But also I have a very good friend of mine. I don't know if he's watching. His wife, Reverend Aaron Carter. Carter. Why did I say that? They are going to have one up in Carr. They're going to do one up in New Jersey. Yeah, so I'm going to help them start planning in January as well. So it's going to be pretty cool, man, just to see it spread.
It seems like that's what it's all about. Is that it's spreading to other people's communities, so those communities can get the same kind of treatment that North Philly is getting. So
well, I do North Philly because that's where I'm from. Yeah. And there's several reasons. One, I do it because that's where I'm from, and I think most people who grew up when I grew up, because we talk about it every time we get together, is the character resilience I learned. I learned right there. A large part of who I am who I've been able to share with you, I learned right there. And it was a real community. So it's pretty cool to go back. It's cool to go back and deal with the different generations. We get young people to come out. So that's always a cool thing too, because they get to see us, give back and see us participating. And had a couple from Jersey came and joined in with us this year, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to disappear for a little bit, not now, but later in the show, or I'll get Chris to do it. We actually had a guy come out who makes his own basketball. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Did you get some of those? Get the opportunity to get some of those?
Yeah, balls cost me $40 a pop, but we gave away 6. Well, no, I gave away 5. I kept 1. So I do have one over there that I'm going to show. I meant to bring for a prop. One of the things we try to do is support Black businesses as well. So if somebody reaches out and say, yo, and I say support, I don't say give me. I purchased the balls from him. He came down, he delivered the balls, I purchased them. They didn't last long because everybody's trying to get one. But we do try to support, Black businesses, especially young Black businesses. So it was pretty cool to have him come down, hang out. People got to meet him, as he, and hopefully he can make some contacts, the people who actually buy the ball from. So the ball's $40. You could probably get a cheaper ball at Walmart or somewhere like that. But it's a good quality basketball, and you support the Black business. And his daughter, I don't want to speak out to him, but I'm pretty sure he told me his daughter is autistic, which is how this whole thing got started. So it's a great cause. But again, you bless people, and people tell you, you do. People like, yo, it was a blessing, it was a blessing, it was a blessing. It's amazing. And you feel, I'm tired, which means I'm getting older, because now here we are almost a week later, I'm still exhausted, because it's an all-day thing. We get to 7:30, we set up, and we don't leave till 3:30.
7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, they open at 8, so you got to make sure it's the way. Let me explain Toy Store, and we'll get to the topic. The way Toy Store is set up is they come in, they sign in, and they're assigned the shopper. And the shopper has a bag. They actually get to walk around and pick out the gifts for their child. So we call it Toy Store. We don't really sell anything, but it's designed to help people pick, because you feel better when you pick stuff out for your own child versus somebody picking up. And you know what it is, what your child likes. So they get to walk around. So, and it's amazing. And we had about 20 tables full of toys. So they get to walk around to the tables, man, and they get to pick stuff up, so it's pretty cool. And they get to put stuff in the bag and they shop, we get it wrapped, and they leave. And that's Maria from Commonwealth. Yeah, who I always support. I love you guys. But it's a great time, man. It is. It's a great time. And I'm still getting thank you. So people are appreciative of it. Yes, people want me to donate it. However, one little wrinkle I'm thinking about doing something in the school next year. Yeah, I'm wondering what would that look like if I did it at a school.
Yeah, like during kind of like an after school event.
No, the same thing on a Saturday. On the Saturday, you have families come up. They sign up the same way, so it's only them, and do the same thing. But have it at a school, because I think when you have it at a school, you probably get more people from that particular school participate.
It's more. I feel like it feels more personalized.
Well, because the thing about the Discovery Center, I love it. Most people don't know where it is. It's in the park. So if you're not driving, it's kind of challenging, because you got to walk to the bus stop. But if you have it at a school, you kind of invade the whole community. So I'm really seriously thinking about doing it at a school next year.
Well, sounds like a good idea.
I haven't decided, because I know McClure asked me about it. I know Con will always be interested. But yeah, so the goal is just to give back to the community, man, and make a difference.
Sounds very exciting. I already can't wait till next year, honestly.
Yeah, and it's cool because you couldn't make it this year, but I get to do it with family. Nicole was there, Chris was there, Mackenzie was there. Mackenzie's my 4-year-old grandson.
The whole crew was there.
Yeah, your mom was there. She came out. Mr. Net came out. Our dear neighbor, Mr. Net, came out and a couple people off my board who So it was pretty cool. It was a great time, man. And you feel good. The other side of it is I'm wore out, man. So I'm waiting for
this. You still feel good, though. That's the important part. Inside, you feel good.
Well, you know what you do? Like, there's families that I've serviced. Well, let me take this. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And it started out the car. I was delivering them, because Oxford Circle would give me some things, and I would deliver them to the families, and people would come up to me and say, look, hey, and I was always shocked because it was people I saw every day who I thought was doing okay, which you just never know. And they would say, hey, I heard you doing this. Could you kind of, and they wouldn't ask for a lot of stuff. Could you just give me a couple things for my kids. So it started to grow, and I can't deliver to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the real Santa
It's a lot of
Claus.
gas, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, gas, and it's late, and you knocking on doors, and it's just
Man,
man. So, I decided, we're gonna get a location. So we doing at the Discovery Center now. So I do want to. Excuse me. Your mom was like, "Hey, we're talking about it." So I may go back next year, but I'm definitely looking at a different location. I'm definitely looking at. I know it's gonna be one in Jersey. That's what everything to do. That's what I'm partnering with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I would love to be able to do it, but look, I'm tired, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's working.
Well, you definitely always have my help whenever you need it.
But it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 years. So I guess one of the things I'm looking for is who I can hand it off to, so I can have a smaller role. Because usually that week before it's all me. Picking up toys, coordinating stuff, man. Like I still got 2 sets of toys I didn't pick up yet.
It's still going.
So, no, it's not still going.
Pretty much, but it's still
trying to end it. But
yeah,
I have 2 other donors who said, "Hey, I got this stuff." So one guy's in the car tomorrow. I got to meet somebody. So I'm donating to a school.
That's awesome.
I'm donating to a school.
That's
yeah,
cool.
so it's pretty cool. But we won't get into this topic tonight. Is there a gender war? And if so, why? I mean, it's a hot topic that everybody's talking about. So you can go first.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be a very hot topic. I feel like more so, it kind of started. I want to say, well, for me, basically, I would say it started around when you got to college. Well, when I got to college, I feel like that's when it really, you started hearing like those same old tired lines of how, dudes aren't this, they're the women don't make this much money, all these different things that kind of seems like they're kind of there to divide us. And it seems like it's easier for them to control us if they're already dividing us, if that makes sense to those people out there. But why do you think, if there is one, do you think there is a real gender war, and why?
Well, I mean, I'm always cautious about the word war. I am, but do I think it's an orchestrated competition? Yeah. Do I think? I think. I'll tell you why, and then I'll get back to. I think why, because as long as you keep anybody divided, and bickering over the peanuts, you never pay attention to what's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So things are going on in politics, things are going on, around this country that we really should be paying attention to, but we're so busy going at it. It's almost like the Democrats and Republicans. They spend so much time fighting each other, they forget about what's really important. And I think that's the same thing that happens when you put, it happens in race, and it happens in relationships, because it's a battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a battle, man, because it's, for instance, you got to be very careful even what you joke about now. You can't say, I'll say ma'am to somebody, they get offended.
I can't say woman anymore.
Yeah, I say ma'am because that's what my mom told me. You say yes, ma'am, you say no, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
They get offended. You can't even say you look nice now. You just got to be careful. Yeah, man. You just got to be careful. And I think it gets deeper because it also gets to the point where it creates this competition, because you're always hearing about, well, women make less than men, but you don't get mad at me because I don't control the pay scale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You fighting me. I don't control the pay scale. I'm not the one robbing the market or saying you get paid less than the other one. So instead of fighting the powers to be, to get what you want, you want at men because you think it's all men, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with men. Men, we blame women for stuff that is really not. One woman's done something and we turn it into women.
Yeah, they all are like this.
But we missed the bigger picture. Our schools are struggling big time, man. We should be fighting about that.
Education.
Yeah, man. We're
heading towards a recession.
So many families are dealing with poverty right now. When you talk to them. And some of it is a result of the gender wars, because you have, not all, but some, and I want to clarify that some, but you have some who I just don't want to deal with men. So not that you marry or hook up with anybody, but 2 incomes are always better than one. That's just the reality of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying you just get somebody for the money, but you open to a relationship, or you get this whole gender thing where I'm as good as any man, and that's just not true. There's certain things that men can do because men were designed to do, and there's certain things that women can do that women were designed to do. Doesn't mean one is better than the other.
I was just about.
It just means we have different gifts and talents. It's like a rainbow. A rainbow is made of a whole bunch of different colors. I may have a preference of a color I may like. You have a preference. Doesn't mean one color is better than another color. It just means it takes all those colors to make a rainbow. And I think when it comes to families, and to society, we're so busy fighting about, equal, but we don't have anything going on.
So let me ask you this. Back when you were growing up, did you ever see anything like that? Any kind of what they were quote unquote call a gender war, or where they're complaining about a pay scale or different things like that? Were there any different treatment?
I think women, and probably still are, traditionally have been paid less for the same jobs. So I'm not arguing the fact that a bias does exist, because it does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not arguing that it's not unfair, because it is in some situations. My point is, you're fighting the wrong person. You've turned me, who sit 2 cubicles down, into the enemy because I'm a man. I don't control the pay scale. I don't dish out who makes what, who doesn't make. But you're so busy fighting against me that we're not challenging the structure of the people who do that. It's no different. Let's talk about the education. We're so busy fighting about equality, between men and women, and there should be, that we're not fighting about equality in education. We're not fighting about, I want my school in Cheltenham and my school in Philadelphia funded the same way. I want the kids in Philly, to have the same opportunities the kids in Cheltenham have. Because I really believe in the time that, I really believe that if God blesses you, I pray this every morning, the blessings go to me and through me. I believe it's your obligation to give back. I do. I believe some kind of way, nation, whatever, you need to give back to where you came from. That's the kind of stuff we should be fighting about. Not fighting because, man, and we do. There's the issues we need to deal with, but we need to be tackling together and not one versus each other. Case in point, a lot of superheroes now, or they turn them into female.
All of them.
I don't know why. It's a little subtle thing that's going on. They're turning all the superheroes, one by one, they kind of switch them over to female. So that's a little subtle stuff I'm talking about, because then some guy speaks up and says, they shouldn't be doing it, and now you got a battle.
You look a certain way when you do say that. So
now we're fighting over whether a male or female should be playing Hulk, playing a Hulk, instead of fighting over education, or instead of fighting over voter rights, instead of fighting over, a higher pay scale, minimum wage. So every time you get into those little skirmishes, you distract from what we really should be dealing with.
So let me ask you this then. Where do you think that need for one to be better than the other comes from?
I think it's a human quality, man. Competition. It's like, I think on the female aspect of it, it's been neglected because female sports are just starting to come up over the last decade or so. Because you got to remember, there was no female pro basketball league a decade ago. They were, so it was kind of, even though they had high school basketball, college basketball, typically when they finished from college, they were done, or they had to go overseas. But now there's always been a sense of competitiveness and competition. There's always a sense of, and that I applaud. So I do get it. But I think there's things we should be doing together and not fighting each other, because that's where real change comes from. Yeah, there's knuckleheads on both sides. You got guys who are chauvinistic and misogynistic, all that crazy stuff. But most guys I know, agree that women should be paid the same as men. Agree that women should be treated the same as men. However, we all do understand that there are some differences between us. Not that one is better than the other. I can't have a kid. Look, I probably faint if I had to go through that pain. That with kids, that's something only a woman can do. Women do a great job of raising young men, but every young man is going to find some man to affirm what manhood is. That's just the reality of life. So there's some things that we have to understand that women are better equipped than men are better equipped. And there's some things that I think there's some women private basketball players who can kick my butt. So that's changed. Not like it was years ago. So that's not one of them any longer. So I think when we come down to that, we really got to kind of take that's something where we don't need to. There should be no bias. So I do get that I get that women in the NBA and women in collegiate sports want to be treated equally, and they should. NBA pay scale should, WNBA pay scale should rise to meet the NBA pay scale. However, you got to support it. That's the part that people understand. People talk about, they want the pay to be easy, but NBA has all this advertisement. They got people, these sponsors. You got to get that to pay people.
You have to generate, revenue to make, the type of money you want.
So when I hear people say it, my next question is, how many WNBA games have you been to?
Where do they play?
No, I'm not. They don't have, but I'm saying people say, but are you supporting the very thing that you say you want to be equal? That's my question.
A lot of them aren't.
Because if you're not supporting, then you're not even contributing economics to it to even the pay scale. It's just like soccer. They want to raise the pay scale in soccer. Soccer is starting to really become a big thing, especially since the girls' Olympic team took off, a women's Olympic team, and now the men's team is starting to get national team.
Something actually came out about that not too long ago, because like they said I think they got the goal they're fighting for. So how the World Cup just happened?
Yeah.
Apparently, they got a percentage of that money from the men, even though they didn't play.
No. Well, we'll see. And then I'm about this. Somebody negotiated that deal.
Yeah.
Right. I can't be mad at them for negotiating the deal. I can't be mad at the female soccer league because I get it. You play just as hard. Some of your matches are just as good. You should be paid equally. However, if you are not generating the economics to pay equally, you can't do it. You can't ask somebody to own a team to spend 10 times more than they're bringing in. It just doesn't work like that. So that's the part where you got to come together. Or it wasn't too long ago with the women's basketball. Remember during the tournament that they complained because the practice facilities and the things that they were giving the female basketball players.
The bubble. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So but men came together. They got together with the females and said, you do deserve it. It wasn't, no. And so that's how you get stuff done. Not fighting. Because you fight most of the time, you fight the wrong person.
It's just funny because, I feel like sometimes, it is created or fabricated just because, and I often hear this in my place of work too, where a woman complains, but at the same time, and I always stress this, 90% of my bosses have always been female. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 90% of my coworkers have always been female. They've been the ones in the higher positions, the executives, the ones doing this and that. So I always sit there and I ask, like, how can you tell me this? But at the same time, like,
well, see, and I've been opposite. I've only worked for two females. I had two female, no, three. I take it back. I had three. I think, I think they're all good in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to kind of have a qualm or a little issue, I think 2 of the 3, instead of being the best person they could be, were trying to be the best man they could be. And they kind of overcompensated. And I don't think it's necessary. I think if you're a leader, whether you're male or female, you can lead.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to use different techniques and do different things, but I don't think you can say he's a better leader because he's a male or she's a better leader because a female. If you're a leader or you're not. The problem with it is some people are managers and not leaders. What I mean by that is some people can, if you give them something, they can manage it and maintain it. Has nothing to do with your ethnicity, has nothing to do with your gender. You just not a leader. Leaders take things and they make it grow. Leaders take things, they figure out how to make it better. Leaders embrace, they don't see obstacles or challenges. They see opportunities. They don't spend their time sitting around talking about what's wrong. How can we fix it? How can we make it better? And that has nothing to do with gender. We've turned it into a gender thing and it's not.
See, my thing is, I'm with you what you're saying, but I feel like people think it's too hard to try to figure out internally, well, what it would happen, what went wrong. It's easier just to blame the other gender.
Yeah, but there's nothing that involves humans that you're not going to find a positive and a negative. It's just impossible. Good cops, bad cops. Good doctors, bad doctors. Good plumbers, bad plumbers. Good athletes, bad athletes. I mean, that's society, because as human beings, we're given we have the freedom to choose. So, and people make different choices. Being a human being does not make you a cookie cutter where you have to do what other human beings don't. You have the ability to choose. So, I mean, when people start getting that deep off the rail, you choose what you want to do. But to bring it back to what we're talking about, males make good choices and bad choices, and so do females. I had Anita, who I worked for at Oxford Circle. I loved working for her. I thought she was phenomenal. I mean, she was strong when she needed to be strong, but she was passionate about what she did, but she always treated people with dignity and respect. It wasn't trying to be the toughest dude. And for her, I probably was a little more interested because she was Caucasian, I'm African American, but she led the right way. And so I think, it wasn't about gender, it was about her ability to lead and be effective. And she was very good at what she did. I've had some male leaders who sucked, who were terrible. So it had nothing to do with the gender, but society has turned into gender. You got the She-Hulk now, and I'm not getting into whether I like it or dislike it. Captain America, who understands.
Yeah.
1 by 1. And it's not like
Black Panther.
Yeah, well, it's not like back in the day when you had Superman and Supergirl. You had Batman, you had Batgirl. They're just morphing the whole character now.
It's like they're dumbing down like the male characters.
Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I think society as a whole, when you get to far as making money and capitalism, they go to what sells. They go to what makes money, and that if you can create a buzz around a movie, whether it's gender, whether it's race, or topic, whatever, people want to see a movie now because people want to see what's going on. If I can get y'all arguing about, whether there's going to be a black James Bond or not, in all honesty, never really thought about James Bond that deep. But when it came in my mind, when it come out, I got to make sure because I want to see what the fuss is about. In my mind, I'm saying, what's the difference? So when you create that, like when the buzz came out around She-Hulk and all that, I don't know how well it is. People want to watch it and see what was going on. Okay, let me see what's going on. If it's good, people will continue to watch it. If it's not, at least I got people to view it, to see it.
I heard it wasn't that good.
But you got people to see it, to judge it though. And if it was good, now you got them hooked. I mean, if it was no controversy, would I be saying we'd be talking about She-Hulk?
See now, and this is why I feel like, and it was never his intent, but this is why I feel like this was a big part of why, he's going that RP. Kevin Samuels, this is the reason why he got pretty big. He never really tried to, do that whole gender war, but when you go look, that's what people kind of perceived it as. So that's they would go check him out, and you'll realize, he's not talking like on no gender war kind of thing. It's different.
Words do matter, and the presentation matters. It's like your mom, my wife. She loves roses. If I give her a dozen roses, she's going to smile. It's going to be pleasant. But if I take them same roses and throw them at her, or start hitting her with them, same roses, different presentation. And I think Kevin Samuels figured out by changing his presentation, people are going to watch now. So if I take what I'm saying about, for instance, if I take what I'm saying, which is totally, I agree with this, you can't expect things from people that you're not willing to have yourself. Prime example, he talks about you want somebody that makes 6 figures, but you unemployed. You bring nothing to the table. I'm okay with that conversation. But when he began to say it, berating people and making it combative and argumentative, his ratings began to go up. He began to make money. And everybody was talking about it.
This video gets shared more.
So again, when you turn into a gender thing, people pay attention now. Because you have a group of men and women who can't wait to get engaged in a show like that because they're ready to argue. So people make money off of that, which goes back to what I said. You fan the flames of the fire gonna get hotter. And so to me, the whole thing is intentional. It's just like even when we talk about race, why wouldn't you want to teach kids in school not to recognize race? Why wouldn't you want kids to understand the atrocities that's happened in the history, between African Americans and Caucasians or minorities? Why wouldn't you? Because that's how you stop stuff from repeating itself.
That's how you learn from it.
But yeah, and you help individuals get a better understanding. So you stop it, you perpetuate the whole race thing. You keep it going, you fan the flames. And it's no different than gender war. It's a gender war, because men versus women, it sells.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up race, and I want to specifically speak about our community and the gender war. Do you think that's been like a big detriment to our community as far as us sticking together?
Yeah. I've heard people make comments about female principals. I know some darn good female principals who are probably better than some male principals. Ms. Green from Commonwealth, Edwards over at Kelly.
I remember my principal at Winco, Dr. Jackson.
I can go. I've dealt with a lot of female principals who are very good at what they do. The problem with it is, though, when you have men fighting against them, again, you distract them from what the need really is. Or you start judging them because they're females, and people start magnifying that, you take away what the school really needs. Our kids need more books. Yeah, they need more computers, but they need updated computers. They need good Wi-Fi. They need some career development opportunities. There's a lot of things. They need soft skills, but we're arguing about male-female. And as far as in our community, you got to remember, this goes back to slavery days. You keep the dark-skinned slaves and light-skinned slaves fighting each other, and nobody's really thinking about freedom now. It's no different. It's just, to me, it's just something else society uses to distract us. I went and saw Black Panther, and I enjoyed the movie. The movie wasn't a better movie, but it wasn't because it was a female Black Panther. It just wasn't as good because, the star of the movie, his whole aura was just so bright. His personality was so dynamic, that it was missing from the movie, from the last movie.
Talking about the first one, Chadwick.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, his personality was so bright. So it wasn't even about male versus female. So people want to get into it. No, to me, he just had such a booming personality. He was such a presence in those movies that obviously he's not. It's not the same. Even though you got the rest of it, and you add new cast of characters, his personality, he was the Black Panther.
It's like you can't capture that same lightning in the bottle.
Nah, it's like Rocky. Rocky without Sylvester Stallone, would that really be a Rocky movie? He's such a strong character in the movie, whether he's fighting, whether he's whatever he's doing. There's certain things you can't take out the main. It's not about male female. There's certain things that are key ingredients. And I think when we allow people to turn it into that, and we especially in our community, we jump into that role. We want to fight. Oh man, we got a female principal up in here. Our boys need a male. But you don't even volunteer to go up to school and do anything.
You never even step foot in.
Yeah, you don't show up. You don't volunteer. You don't go out to hang out in the schoolyard or walk the hallways in the school. So I don't want to hear it.
You really heard that before? Like people complain about.
Oh yeah, I had people come. Yeah, I had people.
I'm sorry, that just took me a little bit to realize. Like, really?
Well, because that's another. People seem to think there's just, and it's true, but it's not the female's fault. It's our fault because we're not stepping up. So our female teachers who we say, "Oh, like, okay, well, what do you do? Who are you working with? How many kids do you mentor? Do you bother going to the school? So I mean, we. But it's easy to argue and say it's all females. But what's the solution? Again, because we're distracted. We're distracted from the bigger picture.
I mean, that is an interesting concept, though. How come no one says like, oh, there's a lot of female teachers here. We need to get more males in there. That's never really a topic.
It is a topic. Oh man, you're in the wrong place. It's a topic, man. You hear it all. I hear it all the time.
I'm not in the education field, so
I hear from female parents, especially single parent, moms who by themselves because they want to get a strong influence, especially if their kid is being influenced by crap that's happening in the street. I hear it from men. I do hear. I hear it quite often. And I think it's fair to say that. But okay, but what about this? What about putting pressure on your local politicians and on government to raise the salary so more people be attracted to those jobs?
Some people don't even know who their local politician is.
But I'm just saying, but we get into this whole fight about, there's a whole free school full of people. Well, what are we doing to change it? Instead of clowning them or going at it with them, why don't we start writing some letters? Why don't we say, I'm not going to vote for you unless you start pushing this bill? Because if I'm a guy, and I'm trying to, I got to look out for my family, I got to take the best deal on the table. Unless I'm in a position where I can afford to do something cheaper, and most people can't. So salary matters. And then you couple that with some teachers say they get lack of support, from the parents, from administration. I know some other things you throw in there, but nobody wants to go to work and work hard every day and not be able to pay your bills. And that's not gender specific. And what I'm saying is, it's easy to sit back and say, this is what's wrong, and just complain about it versus get involved. What are you doing to help change the situation? When the last time you bought lunch for a teacher in school? I'm just saying, there's so many things we can do. Volunteer. Heck, even just go to back to school night. So there's so many things we can do, but we allow it. But if I'm fighting gender now, I'm missing the big picture.
All right. So a follow up to that is like, when did you start to see like a shift? Like, when do you feel like in your lifetime there was like a gender war shift, or have you ever seen it when you were younger?
I mean, I think
it's just kind of hard for me to picture, like, the generation before, like, even when I think of like your parents, like my grandparents, it's hard for me to even like picture them involved in any type of like gender war, like one better than the other.
But see, it wasn't a war, but my mom held it down, man. My mom, she was a full-time teacher, and when I was growing up, we were allowed to go home from school for lunch. So, my mom would get up in the morning, she would make us breakfast. She would come to lunchtime and make sure we had lunch. Well, my grandmother did it for a while until she passed away. But I've always had strong women in my life. I've always had strong women in my life. So to me, I never even looked at it because I had some really, really, really good female teachers down in school. I had some good male teachers. So I've always had I've been around strong women. Even now the principals and stuff, so they don't bother me. I'm not intimidated by it. But there are some who is. And to answer your question, I'm not gonna say it's always been a gender war, but as a black man who's always seeking equality and justice, I could see women were probably a little quiet then. Because they didn't want to seem like, troublemaker or rouser, but you can't, because everybody wants to be equal. Everybody wants to be treated fairly. I wouldn't want to go to a job every day and somebody just because they're a different color or different whatever, and they make a lot more money than I make, that's demoralizing.
Yeah, man. That's disheartening, definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean, but like I said, it's just hard for me to picture that. I feel like we're about to say
Billie Jean King, and Bobby Riggs. They were two tennis players, and Bobby Riggs was a really, no shoulders. A woman can't be the man. She smashed it. So this has been going on for a while. I think now it's kind of become a full-fledged war.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of spilled over from the sports world to all areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think women should be paid based on, just like men on ability, not on gender. They should be. A woman who's working hard and doing a job like a man is doing, she should be paid the same thing. If she's doing better, she should be paid more.
Well, as far as our community, how do we, get rid of that concept and really start to come together more as men and women, because we're stronger together than we are when we're fighting each other.
But I think it starts with a common cause. It's kind of funny that we having this conversation today. If you look at Christmas is the one time of year where most of the people you meet are in a good mood. When I did some, a little bit of Christmas shopping today.
Mm-hmm.
And people were just happy and giddy. Hey, how you doing? One guy stopped to ask for directions to apologize because he bothered me. Just different. Because everybody's on one accord. Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I think that's how you do it. Like we have Toy Store. I know all of us who volunteer and contribute to Toy Store. We don't all have the same exact belief mechanism. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I know for a fact because some of the people I know personally, we don't agree on everything. But the common cause is we want to give back to the community. So I think you got to find people with a common cause, and that's where you start. Can the common cause be kind of manufactured? Yeah, the common cause is we want to get teachers paid more. How can I get teachers paid more? We got to come together. We want more meals in the school. Well, what is your husband doing? He need to grab some of his friends and volunteer, and spend some time at the school. So there's different things we can do to get us united, but it takes people to do it. And I think part of it is, we got a bunch of people still waiting for the next leader. We wait for the next Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and so therefore we don't do things on our own. And I think, but that's how you can kind of break this gender thing is, if you have guys talking to their friends, and women talking to their friends, and then we have real conversations around it. Not slandering each other, not arguing, but real conversations around it. I think that's the beginning place.
That's tough.
I mean, the government can do a better job of auditing these companies to make sure they're paying people a fair wage.
Mm-hmm.
Not significantly different because they're a woman. So that's part of it. That's one way you can deal with it. But nothing changes until you have open dialogue. Nothing, man. Until you start having open conversations, and you talked about Toy Store. Well, Toy Store takes a lot of planning. And part of the plan is we have to have open dialogue. We have to have open communication. Who's going to do what? Who's going to do this time? Who's contributing what? Because in the end, I got to sit down and put all this information together and figure out how many families we can serve, how many toys we can give out. So everything has to come together. But so it does. Think projects can create unity. Ministries can create unity, but most of all, people have to create it. Stop drawing lines. We draw a lot of lines in the sand, man. Somebody disagrees with us, instead of trying to figure out where the differences lie and how can we get to a common cause. Because check this out, the thing that we should be combating is greater than the thing we're arguing about. That's the problem. That's the problem, man. We're arguing about, big screen TVs, and we're arguing about $20 and $30, $40. And what we should be talking about is how can we get $1 million into our community to renovate our schools? How can we get supermarkets in some of our communities who don't have and have not seen a supermarket? But if we're fighting against each other, nobody's talking about those things, man. We talk about, and I think the place you really can feel the gender war in is in our kids, man. Because you have people who are married and now they verse each other. They versus each other, man. They compete. I'm not dealing with her, oh man, or whatever the situation is. So now you got these kids out there acting buck wild.
Do you think that also contributes to the view of a healthy relationship? Like you said,
of course it does.
You're seeing your parents bicker, so your kids gonna act crazy.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way, and I say this, and I was just having this conversation with somebody else. We are, to a certain extent, we are a product of our environment. That's just the reality of it. There's exceptions to every rule. But I think if you dig deep enough, everybody takes something from their environment. We do. We take our view of relationships, our view of healthy relationships, our view of women, our view of men, our view of family. We take something and then we try to coexist with somebody else. And I say try to coexist because we never talk about the similarity. We never sit down and say, like when I'm counseling a couple, the first question I ask them is, write on a piece of paper, what's your definition of love? And 90% of the time, I got two totally different definitions. So that's where I kind of started. Because if I love you until you get on my nerves, and you saying you love me to death do you part, we got two totally different definitions of love. Mm-hmm. I love you like I love my peanut butter sandwich. That's an issue. So I think that's another place that we got to get back to the family is to stop fighting each other and try to figure out how can we raise our kids. How can we put our differences aside? How can we come to a common knowledge of love? Love is if you love somebody, you want to do what it takes. So if I love my children, I'm gonna do what it takes to give them everything I can possibly do. If you love yourself enough, then you're trying to create a legacy. You're trying to leave something behind other than just you. Or memories of you. What are you gonna remember for? What I mean? Just too many people are born, live, and die. And so gender wars, it's in the families too. You got women and men fighting instead of trying to take care of the kids. all men are trifling, and and the court system doesn't help it either because they just make you pay child support. They never, unless it's changed, which I doubt, they never talk about how I can assist you to spend time with your kids.
Or like there's no like therapy courses, like how can I assist you guys to have a better relationship so you can better assist your child? Like it's never really anything like that.
Well, again, this is some of the stuff that we gotta, as people. See, the thing about change is funny. Everybody wants to talk about change. There's very few people want to work for change. And as you work for change, man, sometimes you got to change you. Sometimes you have to come to a place in your life where you realize some of the things you've learned are not correct. Some things you've been exposed to weren't good for you. Or everything that's good for you is not good. Everything that's good to you is not good for you. And those are things you got to begin to differentiate. And too many times we don't. So if we go back to the gender wars, and I talked about the impact on relationships, why are we working together? Because we had something in common. We made little Johnny. If it lasted 20 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, we had something in common. What can we find in common to make sure little Johnny is raised the way he should be raised? That dad's involved in his life. Mom's involved in his life. We're making sure he's being nurtured. We're making sure he's being cared for. We're making sure we give him or instill in certain qualities and characteristics and like integrity in him. So as he grows up, his idea of a man is not what the world is telling him it is. Man up don't mean, you can't cry.
Or like not what they see on TV. You actually got a real life example.
But I think that we have to get back to what's the common ground? What's the commonality?
The common ground.
And then that's what we got to start building at, man. I want to see my community regenerate. I want to see my community built up. I want to see my community have more stuff than just, toy store, food giveaway, whatever. What can we do that's sustainable? And that means what's the common denominator? What are we building off of?
So it kind of sounds like, most things, like you said, just come down to that initial conversation. And being open. But when you had that conversation, I would say not bringing too much emotion into it. So I feel like that's when
good luck with that.
I know what happens, but you know what I mean. Like
I hear people say that, and I think that's and I'm not saying to you, but I think it's ridiculous when you say that because we're human beings. And I don't think it's a question of bringing emotion into it. It's controlling our emotions.
Maybe that's a better word.
No, I know you're right, but I think you can't help you can't help. I can't help but be emotional. That's just who I am. I'm built that way. Whatever you feed grows strong. I've fed it for so much in my life, so now I just have to control it. Doesn't mean I'm not emotional. I just got to do a better job of controlling it. So I think that's what we have to start thinking about. We tell people, I don't bring you emotion. How? I mean, how do you not do that? You play sports. It's like when I play sports. People who know me before and after the game, I probably was the calmest guy. When that game started, I wanted to win. And I was emotional about it. And even times I didn't want to be emotional about it. So I think when I hear people say that, I'm like, nah, you just have to control your emotions. And don't allow your emotions to control you.
I feel like when it's a little negative, they say emotion, but when it's positive, it's called passion.
Yeah, but we just have to be careful. I mean, the gender war is that to me is at the center of so many things. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about Switch, who what's his name, Switch or T-Witch, the guy who just committed suicide.
I think his name's Twitch. I didn't watch too much. He's on Ellen.
He committed suicide, and so now there's a whole lot of conversation around how many in the safe space to be able to share feelings, and we actually did the show with Ebony. I played that show the week we weren't here, and we had 74 hits, so the timing of the thing was perfect. So my point is, we were having a discussion, and he said something that I find is prevalent in a lot of relationships. That and I think this is again to the gender war, because the gender war has produced stereotypes and stigmas about what we think a man is and a woman is, and because we got this combative nature. And he was saying how sometimes it's hard to share with his wife because she sees him as being weak. And see, to me, if you are my partner, I should be allowed to be vulnerable.
I figure you would want someone to be vulnerable with you.
Yeah, but if you're dealing with stigmas and you're dealing with, if it's a war, if it's definitely combative, then that's going to be an issue. if somebody's trying to be superior,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a problem. If I'm entrenched in this, when I sit down and talk to couples and I'm counseling couples, one of the issues is the different roles. Because this lady decides that she's going to wear the pants in the family, so to speak. Because ain't no man going to tell me what to do. And it's not about telling you what to do, it's about having a conversation and coming to common ground. Some people see, well, if I give in to what you're saying, then you're telling me what to do. And so if I got a war mentality, it's not a whole lot you can say to me that I'm going to hear the right way. Everything you say to me is going to be, I'm going to take in as criticism or combative, as some kind of threat. You know what I mean? I can't, because I'm in a war mentality. That's why I'm not crazy about the word. If I got that mindset, that's the problem. And a lot of relationships struggle because the mindsets are screwed up. Because the woman wants to be better, the man wants to be better. Instead of saying, how can we come together and be better together? And see, to marriage, and I'll use a sports analogy. I've been on teams that are very talented and we didn't win anything because we couldn't function as a unit. Mm-hmm. And marriage is the same way. If you can't figure out how to get your relationship to function as a unit, it's not going to be successful. It can never be a unit with two people trying to be the boss. It just don't work. That's an issue. It can never be a unit if there's constant competition. Because I want to be this, and the gender wars contribute to it because, the people on this side of the fence are saying, this is how you should act. This is what you should stand for. This is taboo. People on this side are saying the same thing. Nobody's saying, well, relationships are different. So they're different for everybody. So you got to figure out what makes your relationship work. Yes, there's key ingredients. But hey, in your relationship, maybe he'll wash dishes because, that's something he wants to do. Doesn't mean that he's weak or he's a opponent. I'm helping my wife out. So I think there's things that we just miss, in the midst of the conversation. And I think, and again, is that war? When you battling with somebody, man, I'm just like when I grew up, and it's funny because I ran into a guy when I first got down there, and me and Charlie was walking around and he was talking, when we played against each other, we didn't like each other when we got on the field or the court. That was just the way it was. And when it was over, we were all good. But we weren't walking around there like now, exchanging shirts and
so what I'm saying,
so when you have that mentality, you got that pit bull mentality, man, you're going at it. So when I hear war, especially in terms of relationships, that's not a good thing.
It's not healthy.
No, that's not a good thing, man, because most people in war, you don't hear what the other side is saying. You don't properly digest what the other side is saying. And I think that's at the heart of what we're doing. I guarantee you after this, somebody's going to say something about what I said. When I said countless amount of times that I believe women should be paid the same thing, if not more, I said, but somebody's going to pick up something I said because they want to keep the war going. They don't hear everything else I said. Because they want to keep it going. And if it's you, I'm not going to apologize. Misery loves company. That also fuels it. Because if I'm a guy or a girl and I'm by myself, I want as many people on my team as possible. So I keep it going. That's what's wrong with, I'm telling my girlfriend, that's what's wrong with men now. They try to suppress you, oppress you, depress you, repress you. See, whatever press they can come up with. And same thing with the guy. Oh man, you whipped and all this stuff and all this thing. We will take that.
They call you a simp now. Yeah, that's a new term.
You got a man up and all this stuff, and I hear that. And I'm thinking to myself like, what? I've sat down with couples and had this conversation, and I'm talking about adult couples, which are supposed to be mature couples. And I got to explain to them like, nah, you're not at war, man. This is an organization. Imagine if you run a $1 trillion company, and if the company failed, neither one of you got anything. I bet you find a way to make it work. If somebody rolled up in and said, look, I got $1 million. If you can make this work, I'll give you $1 million. You'll find a way to make it work. So that's what we have to do in relationships. This whole gender war thing, we got to adapt that philosophy. Like, let's sit down and figure out what's the happy medium. Now, once we decide, now how do we move forward? What's our common goal? I was watching an interview with Chris Broussard from the King movie on the Breakfast Club of Charlemagne the God. I hate that name, but anyway, he was on, and they were asking him about being a Christian, and they asked him about homosexuality, and I love his response. His response is, "I get along with everybody, because we're called to hate the sinner, not the sinner, regardless, So like me, I get along with everybody, and I think anybody who knows me will say that, So I can sit down at the table and talk to people about stuff. How do we make our differences, But if I'm at war, you're not hearing me, and I hate to keep saying that, because you in the defensive mode or you in attack mode. So I think, we got to get past that. And again, just look at how many broken families we have in this country.
There's tons of them.
Yeah, man. How many bad divorces? I'm not saying any divorce is good, but I mean divorce to the point where people are not speaking to each other.
It's not amicable.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it's tough. And I think so whenever you say gender war, that's what we're forced to deal with. Man, I don't want to pass that fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
we about to wrap up, man. And I guess because we wait for Chris to come. So I want to grab this basketball real quick.
Yeah, grab the basketball. I'm curious to see what this basketball.
So you can get in with the like, subscribe, and all that stuff.
Yeah, let me remind y'all real quick. Like, subscribe, follow, share. This is like the first time I've ever been on screen by myself. Like, subscribe, follow, share, comment. We want to interact with y'all. Definitely message us. We want new people to talk to, If you have any ideas or something you want to see on the show, if you have some topics you want to discuss, let us know. Above average black man. It's an interesting feel, I'll be honest.
So go ahead. Let me grab one more thing.
Yeah, let me.
The cards. Wait, I want to make sure I plug my bro right. Because actually, he's going to come on the show. And I should have been prepared. As we close out. Not Right brand. That's it. It's called the Not Right brand. Is the name of this thing. If you look him up, you can hit him on Facebook. I believe he's on Instagram. His Gmail is not right, WRIGHT brand at gmail.com. Instagram is Not Right brand. Hit him up. It's a good ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah.
I probably would never miss with the grips on this ball.
Yeah, that's kind
15 in is deadly. Yeah, and it's supporting the black business, man. He has his brand on there, the question mark, and the NW for Not Right. Got it backwards.
You can make it killing, yeah. You can really,
really
do
a nice
something.
product.
I like it.
But again, I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of Above Average Black Men. I want to thank Maria for her kind comments about Commonwealth. Shout out to Ms. Green. Hey guys, we won't be on next week.
Holidays.
Yeah, man. Actually, we're gonna be going for 2 weeks, unless we decide to do something.
We could do it
from our
impromptu,
location.
from location. I think that's cool.
But we will be in a different place.
We'll keep you
But
posted.
yeah, man, we want to say thank you so much. As we close out 2022 and get ready for 2023, we need you to support us, guys. We trying to get this thing up there, man. We're about to enter our podcast into a contest, so a competition. So we're doing that, but we really want to get our likes up. And I know a lot of you listen because I get feedback from people who call me, who text me, who chime in here. We need you to
like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. All the above.
So as we close out, we thank you for another episode of Above Average Black Men.
You do this for a year, it's insane. I can hit in.
Yep.